Welcome to the Blind Android Users channel. This is your source for everything Android, tutorials and demos, all from a blindness perspective. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more content like this. We now continue to the Android Basics segment. And in this segment, we continue, and this is part 3 now of the apps and defaults that we started a couple of weeks ago. Today, I'll be talking about setting apps defaults. Ed is going to be talking about special app access. And now, here is my demonstration of setting app defaults. This is demonstrating setting app defaults. What we're talking about here is setting up which apps to perform certain actions, such as opening up web pages, messages, or making phone calls. And so as we continue for the 3rd week in a row dealing with this subject matter, I will now proceed to show you the defaults. In other words, how you can go about setting up your defaults. I will now tap on
Apps, Assistant, Recent Apps, Default Apps.
I will tap here.
Settings, Apps, Out of List, showing items 1 to 10 of 12.
If you're using Android 12 or higher, the defaults are found just above the Google Assistant. If you, however, are using something like Android 11 or lower, you'll have to go to the bottom of the page or the bottom of this screen and tap on the Advanced. I will now scroll down and go find and tap on Defaults.
Showing items 3 to 12 of 12.
Putting my finger down, I will tap on Defaults.
Default Apps, Chrome, Phone, and Messages.
Let's go ahead and tap here.
Default Apps, Navigate Up, Button, Out of List.
We are now on the page for Default Apps. Again, I'm going to be starting with the browser. If you're running Android 11 or lower, however, you have an advantage here because you can choose to set none of these as the default. I used to like that feature until Google took it away in Android 12. In other words, what I'm talking about when it comes to browsers, if you're running Android 12 or higher, you can't set it to where there's none. Thus, you can't tap on a link and then be asked as to what browser you would like to use in opening that app. You have to choose to make one of your apps or browsers as the default. But however, if you're running Android 11 or lower, you could set it to none, something that I prefer doing. Let's go ahead now and tap on browsers and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Browser App, Chrome, in List. Default Browser App, Navigate Up, Button, Out of List. Showing items 1 to 13 of 15.
Now that I tapped on default apps, usually at the top of the list, we will have something that says radio button none. In this case, however, because I'm running Android 12, it is not going to say that. Instead, the first item here will be whatever the first item is. I'll put my finger down and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Not selected. Radio button, Brave.
There is Brave is not selected. Next.
Selected, radio button, Chrome. Not selected, radio button, DuckDuckGo.
So as you can see, I do not have the none option. However, like I said, if you have Android 11 or lower, you should be able to do that, something I really liked. Let's go back now to the previous screen.
Default Apps, Browser App, Chrome, in List.
Our next entry in this category will be
Call Redirecting App, None.
Call Redirecting App, and we're told none. This is because I haven't set an app here to be the default. So what this is talking about is that if you want your outgoing calls to be managed by a particular app, for example, you tap here and go make that app your default dialing app. For instance, if you want your calls to be routed through the Google Voice, or if you have some other carrier that you would like to have your calls routed through, then this is where you go to change that. Let's move to the next one.
Caller ID and spam app, none.
Caller ID and spam blocker. Here, mine says none, and partly because I do not have a SIM card in this phone. But if you tap here, you can choose your phone dialer. If it has a caller ID and spam protection, you could set that to be your default. Let's move to the next category.
Digital assistant app, Google.
This one is self-explanatory, as this is talking about the assisting app. In other words, we're talking about things like Google Assistant or the Alexa app from Amazon if you have one. If you prefer Alexa, for example, and you would like that to be your digital assistant instead, then you could tap here and go change and make that to be the default for when you want to use the assisting app. The next item on here is
Home app, Pixel launcher.
Home app. And we're talking about launchers here. Mine by default is the Pixel launcher. Now, if you prefer a different launcher, for example, if your phone happens to be one of those that comes with a launcher that's not accessible or does not give you certain things that you're looking for, then you can come here and go change to a third-party launcher if that's what you want to do. We did an episode a little while ago in which we featured some of these launchers, including the likes of Hyperion Launcher, Lawnchair Launcher, Rootless Launcher, Ruthless Launcher, etc., etc. You could download one of those if you're having difficulty with yours and make it the default. Now, before we move from this, though, I do want to mention that to the right of that is a settings button. Now, that settings button has to do with home management. There was a little entry I did with the highlights from TalkBack in which I demonstrated how to manage your home screen. So in other words, this is the same thing as long pressing on an empty spot on your home screen and choose to manage your home screen, and that will be things like when I install a new app, should the icon be added to my home screen or not, and also how to manage widgets, wallpapers, and things like that. And that's what this settings is all about.
Settings button.
And now below that, we have the next item, and that's
Phone app, phone.
Phone app, and mine says phone. So for example, if you have a phone whose dialer you're not particularly happy with, you could download another third-party dialer. And we've talked about some of these, including the likes of DW Contacts. Another one from the Hamster Bits guys, I think that one is called a TruePhone dialer. You could use one of those. Those are very accessible. And so if you're having problem with your phone dialer, this may be one of those. And the good news is that the Google dialer seems to be available for a lot of phones out there. So if your native dialer is not behaving well, this may be an option for you to choose, and then come in here and choose to make that your default dialer. Let's move to the next item.
SMS app, messages.
This is about SMS app. Every single phone out there comes with its own native SMS app. For those of us using the Pixel phones, by default, we have the Google SMS app. And if you have a different phone, for example, they may choose to use their own SMS app. And if you find that not to be accessible for you, then you could install another third-party app. We have a lot of those third-party apps, such as the Google SMS app, which is simply called Google Messages. Then we have things like Yada, Y-A-A-T-A. We have Pulse, P-U-L-S-E. We also have Charms, and a bunch of others out there that you could try and see if that is better for you. This is where you go to change that. But besides, though, when you install a new SMS app and you launch that particular app, it may ask as to whether or not you would like to make it the default. And from there, you could simply make it the default. But if you forgot to or something happens, you could come in here and do that management of setting up which one becomes your default SMS app. The last item here is a very important one, and that's the one that talks about opening links.
Opening links.
What are we talking about when we talk about opening links? What we're talking about here is to be able to open up links in an app. For example, let's say you're using a scanning app and there's a link within that text that you just scan or that material that you just scan. Would that app be able to open up that link for you or not? Or would it be employing another app with which to open up that link? That's what this is about. Let's go ahead and tap here and see what we're talking about.
Opening links. Navigate up. Button. Out of list. Showing items 1 to 10 of 154. Showing items 1 to 10 of 154.
We're now on the screen where we're told that there are a total of 154 apps. Now, I do want to mention here in passing that some of these apps will not have the ability to do that. However, there's an item here that I would like us to talk about, and that's the instant apps. Now, what are instant apps? Instant apps are apps that you could use without necessarily needing to install them in the traditional sense of the word. And here's what I'm talking about, putting my finger down.
Instant apps. Heading. In list.
We got instant apps heading.
Instant apps. Open links and apps, even if they're not installed. On. Switch.
And most of these come from Google, by the way. And then below that we have
Instant apps preferences.
the instant app preferences. Let's go in here and see what this is all about.
Google Play Instant. Navigate up. Button. Out of list.
And here's what we got.
Upgrade web links. Web links may open in instant apps instead of in a browser, when available. On. Switch.
And that also is turned on. And below that,
Note, even when this setting is turned off, you can always continue to try instant apps by clicking on links that are Google Play branded. Learn more.
now that you have a better understanding of this, let's go back to the previous screen and continue what we were doing.
Opening links. Instant apps preferences. In list. Showing items 1 to 10 of 154.
Now our next heading will be the installed apps.
Installed apps. Heading.
And this is talking about apps that one has installed from the Play Store or APK files that one has sideloaded. I don't do sideloading, by the way, but here's what we're talking about. For example, the first item here that I have is
At Voice Aloud Reader. Don't open supported links.
we have the Add Voice Aloud Reader and it says don't open supported links. So this by default is not going to open up links for you. If I tap here, for example,
Settings. Open by default. Out of list.
upon tapping on that, we're taken to a screen now where we have an on-off switch and by default, it is turned on.
Open supported links. On. Switch. In list.
Now below that,
Links to open in this app. Heading.
we have the heading for the links that can be opened, and pay attention to the next two items here.
0 verified links. Disabled.
We have 0 verified links and it is disabled. The next item here is
Show verified links list. Disabled.
these are both disabled because this app will not open such things and therefore there's nothing you can do about it. Let's go back and maybe find one that would support opening links
Showing items.
and you'll see the difference that I'm talking about. Things like Amazon, Adobe, and a host of others may allow you to open those other links that are verified. Let's scroll down and find and tap on one of those.
Amazon Shopping. Open business Amazon.co.jp and other URLs. Showing items 1 to 11 of 154.
Here is Amazon, and we're told that this supports opening links. Let's go ahead and tap here.
Settings. Open by default. Out of list.
Let's now see how many of these links the Amazon shopping app supports. If I put my finger down in the middle of the phone, on the right edge of the phone is that on-off switch.
Open supported links. On. Switch. In list.
And below that,
Links to open in this app. Heading.
the links to open in this app heading will be a checkbox here that says
Checked. Checkbox. 51 verified links.
There are a total of 51 verified links that can be opened from within the Amazon app. Now, note that you cannot turn this check mark off, whether you like it or not. The only time that you're going to turn this off is by turning off that on-off switch above that we saw. Now, let's move below that and see what else we find here in the way of seeing what links are mentioned. And that would be under the verified links, which we need to tap on.
Show verified links list.
We tap here to show the list of links that are verified to be opened from the
Checked. Show verified links list.
Show verified links list. This is where we tap to see which links are allowed to be opened in the Amazon app.
51 verified links. These links are verified and automatically open in this app, out of list.
And here's what we got.
businessamazon.co.jp.
And I'm supposing that to be Japan. Next.
businessamazon.co.uk.
Next.
AMZONL.
Maybe that's like in the Netherlands or something.
AMZN.eu.
So you can go through the list. There are a total of 51 of these. Now let's go back.
Settings. Show verified links list in list.
Let's go back again.
Opening links. Amazon shopping. Open.
And now, before we bring this to a close, let's go ahead and take a look at one of these apps that may allow us to open links from within the app. And I'm thinking of the Adobe app. Let me scroll up and find and tap on Adobe.
Adobe Acrobat. Open Adobe Acrobat app link and other URLs.
Here's Adobe Acrobat. Let's go ahead and tap here.
Settings. Open by default. Out of list.
And of course, in the middle of the phone on the right edge is that on-off switch. By default, that switch is turned on.
Open supported links. On. Switch. In list.
And then under,
Links to open in this app. Heading.
we got
Checked. Checkbox. For verified links.
4 can be opened within the Adobe Acrobat app. And let's take a quick look at the verified links that Adobe has verified.
Show verified links list.
Go ahead and tap here.
For verified links. These links are verified and automatically open in this app, out of list.
I'll put my finger down on the first one and go from there.
Adobe Acrobat app link, in list.
That's the first one.
AcrobatAdobe.com.
The third one.
Adobe Acrobat alternate app link.
And the last one here in this entry.
DocumentCloudAdobe.com.
That is a document cloud for Adobe. This is where the probable Adobe DC comes from. And that's how you go about managing your app's default. Thanks for listening to another clip from the Blind Android Users channel. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you're notified of every new material that we upload. Thanks again for listening to the Blind Android Users channel.